All right, we do have a physical quorum, so let's go ahead and get started, and we'll start the meeting with the roll call, please.
Pam Peacock,
Here.
Banjo Goody,
Here.
Patricia Jackson,
Here.
Jeff Wright,
Here.
Dale LaChant,
Present.
Jerry Reason,
Here.
Dan Mitchell,
Here.
Ronald Becker.
Here.
So we have 6 members present plus 1 alternate present, so we have a total of 7 physical quorum.
Okay, do we have anybody online?
Alyssa Smith is online.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
I would remind everyone to use the button on the microphones.
Your microphones and dais are on yours.
Okay,
You don't have to touch yours.
beautiful. I love that. Thank you.
Yours is.
All right, so thank you for all of the members and alternates joining us at the meeting, both on the web and in person, and having a physical quorum so easily. Thank you very much. Thank you for staff doing the prep work and calling to make sure that we were going to have a physical quorum. Thank you very much. So let's jump right in. Item number 2, approval of the minutes for the March 10 meeting, which is attached. Could we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Dell. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Patty. Any questions or take a brief moment to take a look at it? Anybody seeing any corrections needed? Okay, hearing no responses, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Going on to item 3, FPAC membership. We still have some open spots. So we still have an opening for food systems attorney and alternates on a food systems attorney and a grocery distributor alternate.
And Mr. Chair, also, I just learned late yesterday or earlier today that the school district alternate also is open. And
Okay.
they're looking, Megan is looking for someone to recommend as her alternate.
And then we have the FPAC attorney membership criteria, 6-year review, and FPAC extension request resolution number 21-185 adopted.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the Board of County Commissioners at their May 18th meeting approved the attorney membership criteria. They also approved the 6-year review, and they also extended the Food Policy Advisory Council for another 6-year period. There were also some minor tweaks to the enabling resolutions. We consolidated all of the prior enabling resolutions into one resolution. And the county attorney's office made some minor tweaks. And so it's all been approved. So there is a copy of the new resolution in your packet. And we welcome any, as always, if you want to continue to tweak this resolution in terms of your purpose and your duties and responsibilities and how this council is run, feel free to recommend those revisions, and we'll evaluate them and we'll take them to the Board of County Commissioners for their consideration. And
Okay. Well, that is good news on the extension. Do we have anything to report on any of the open slots or any potentials with the new definition or criteria for the attorney member?
Mr. Chair, I would recommend that staff be directed to forward a notice to the Tampa Bay Bar Association or similar type group to try to solicit some interest.
Okay. I think that's a wonderful idea. Let's do that, please.
I would inquire if any of the other food security type nonprofit organizations, if they have any attorneys that they're working with, that they could also recommend to consider some type of participation. I think that might be good.
Yeah. Especially if you know somebody or an acquaintance or worked with or networked with or through an association.
We have an
That would be-
attorney on our board that's very interested in food systems and is a part of a lot of social networking groups. So we can, I can invite her to help us spread the word that way. If I get, emailed a blurb or something like last time,
Okay,
I can forward that to her, and I know she'd be more than likely happy to help spread the word that way.
great. Thank you.
Carly Stein.
All right, then let's move on to 4, the Tampa Bay Regional Planning Council Regional Resilience Action Plan, Goal 9. Food systems become more sustainable and resilient, and access to healthy foods is improved.
So, Mr. Chair, included in your agenda memo is an excerpt of Goal 9 that has been included in the initial draft of the Regional Resiliency Action Plan. And so I wanted to bring this to the board for you to review and provide any comment or feedback that we could then transmit to the Regional Planning Council. On the first page, we have the individual objectives listed, and then also in the following pages are the objectives with the specific action items that have been identified thus far. Now, the action items are going to be recommended to the local governments. This is not going to be mandatory. There was a lot of discussion at the RAP sessions with the local government liaisons, and it was felt that the Regional Planning Council really couldn't dictate that a local government had to do this, particularly since for most of these action items, there's no funding attached.
Right.
So these are recommendations.
Does everybody see where we're at and see the actions? Yeah. Okay.
I did include a full copy of the draft one of the Regional Resiliency Action Plan, because I think this is a very important document for the region. It covers, the goal 9 is just the food security goal. There are a number of other goals within that Resilient Regional Action Plan that address resiliency across the region. So while we're coming today to ask this group specifically about Goal 9, please feel free, if you have comments on any other parts of the document, feel free to submit those either directly to the Regional Planning Council, or you can do it through me, and I'll make certain that the Regional Planning Council gets your comments.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so do we have the opportunity to provide recommendations on this at this point, or has that passed?
It's still a draft document. This is the draft that was presented to the Management and Planning Committee of the Resiliency Coalition. They will be bringing this document to a workshop with the Board of County Commissioners at some future date. So I think that there still is ample opportunity to provide feedback. They're looking to adopt the final version, I believe, in November, October or November.
The one suggestion that I would have, I don't know if this is working at all or not, is that I see on objective 9.3, there's some discussion of having local governments develop collaborations with university schools and hospitals for food recovery. But I don't actually see that in the objective 9.2 in supporting farms and local fresh food. And I feel like the institutional food service operations are a really great opportunity. Like Advent Health is partnering with local farms to serve through their cafeterias. The district, I know, has partnerships with farms. So I would think that that would be a really great way to improve local food access, would be to build up those coalitions and collaborations.
I like that idea. Any other comments on that?
I would just have a question. How would that be integrated into Objective 2? Would that be a 9.2? Would that be a separate line in 9.2 as a proposal, or integrated into one of the existing categories?
I think it probably would need to be really similar language as 9.3, but just an additional recommendation.
Are you thinking about the first item in Objective 9.3 being pushed into 9.2 with similar language?
I would just say, so in 9.2, we've got incentives for local food production. That's critical, and I think it stands alone. Zoning codes is something
Right.
separate, but this would be more about just having the governments get involved in developing those collaborations. I think it's its own recommendation, but should also be under 9.2 with a focus on improving, I don't know.
So are you suggesting local governments develop collaborations with
To help facilitate
with farms and local fresh food processing and distributors?
There are so many opportunities. Yes, I think it's already happening on the ground level, but it would be a nice way for us to think strategically around how we connect our large food operations with our farms. So I think just being more intentional about connecting those two is something that, as a local government, I think would be really helpful to improve food access to local foods.
I like it. What does everybody else think?
Yeah, I like it. I like it very much. I'm just thinking under Objective 9.3, that very first category where it says implements sustainability outreach and education efforts, develop a local culture which reduces food waste. Why not just take that language and substitute food waste with food production? and then you engage the same organizations, partners, comprehensive plan themes, and you simply take that same language, modifying food waste or replacing food waste with food production, and just drop that into 9.2 as the third element in 9.2. I think that gets at what you're saying, and I think your idea is tremendous, but I think that language accomplishes that end.
The only thing I would add to that is I like the intentional use of the collaborations with specific institutional food service operations, like universities, hospitals, schools.
Prison.
Because I think that that's very specific about which partners we want to, versus the culture is also very important, but doesn't necessarily call out those partners who are really serving many meals. I mean, I think we could add.
So it's institutions and distribution, not production. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the concept is to have the, I'm just clarifying so I understand. Have the local institutions like our education, hospitals, prisons, universities be involved in the distribution of local food that's being produced.
It's happening, but it's maybe not in a, a plan, I think it's happening in one-offs, but it would be, I think, really helpful to the county to think about it strategically from production to distribution.
So objective 9.2 is really talking about updating policies, codes, and incentives to support.
That's true.
So adding an action item that says local governments collaborate with farms and local fresh food processors and distributors would be one thing. Local. See, this objective is specific to, what would you change in your land development code and your code of ordinances? I think there should be a collaboration. There should be some kind of outreach and engagement with the farmers, the producers, and the distributors.
Well, she's specifically talking to the institutions like the schools and the healthcare and the universities and prisons and stuff. So that piece under objective 9.2 that says update policies, codes, and incentives.
Yep.
If the government could create an incentive program that incentivizes our local institutions to use local produce, that's definitely something that could be written as a incentive or law or code. Like, I don't know why. I mean, that's their job, but.
Yeah, I think that line, incentive,
Right.
is a very key part of that, because it's not just codes and policies, but it's incentives. And then what I'm alert to, which I think Ariane was pointing out, is the idea of the production dimension of it. Can we incentivize local production, which is in both of the two boxes that currently exist? They both are stressing food production.
Yeah, because a lot of times the food gets produced and then just sent by Cisco up 95 up 75 out of the state, right? If they could produce, I mean, I'm not getting into the policy side for a second, but if there was incentivization, it's a good word, for these local producers to carve out like, oh, we know Advent Health wants blueberries this time of year, so let's go ahead and grow some that doesn't go off on Cisco and make like some sort of, local way to.
Just in my work with the schools, it's the distribution piece. There's a farm next door, but it's just getting it
Right.
through the distribution channel.
Yeah, it's easier for the farm to just send it like they do on next Tuesday, the truck's coming. Like,
Right.
then
So
mess
would
with
it
the
make
old-
sense for the first item under objective 9.2 to add the word local governments develop collaborations or encouraged to develop collaborations and provide incentives to increase?
Or just add institutions in there. Because that's missing. What she's talking about, the piece that's missing is involving the hospitals and.
Right, so you could say develop collaborations with XYZ and provide incentives to increase, et cetera.
Okay, I've taken a stab at this. Tell me what you think.
Let the pro at it.
Local governments collaborate with farms and local fresh food producers and distributors. Local governments work with farms, local fresh producers and distributors to collaborate with institutions, schools, hospitals, and prisons to support local food production.
Processing and distribution.
Distribution and support community and economic goals.
I think that gets at what we're discussing.
To support local food production. What else did you say?
And distribution.
Processing and distribution. To support LMI community and economic goals.
Okay.
Just a thought, that's just another way you could do it. After processing and distribution, you could add something like encourage collaborations with, these partners, and then underneath partners on the other side, include all those partners like the jails, the hospitals, the school system, and
I think that's the way the Regional Planning Council would prefer it to be written.
Yeah.
I honestly do, because
That makes
that's
sense.
kind of how they've been doing this.
Right.
So we'll just list the institutions, schools, hospitals, and prisons as additional partners, in addition to other partners that should also be on that list.
Mary Helen, the other partners would be the neighboring jurisdictions and neighborhood associations. That language remains in place, right?
Right.
Okay,
We would duplicate that, yeah.
right.
But I think it is important to add the language of encouraging collaborations somewhere in there, and then include the partners, because then it kind of ties it all together.
Okay. And I can figure out the rest in terms of the comp plan themes that it should go across, and the topic tags and things like that. I can make those recommendations, if that's okay with the board, unless you have some ideas you'd want to share.
No, I think we've kind of covered it. We just don't need to get down in the minutia of it during our short meeting.
They will figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's some great points. Thank you, everybody, for that input. That certainly helps sustainability.
Anything else?
Any other comments or recommendations on goal 9?
I think it's great, and it's good to see it in there, and probably as a result of our lobbying for this and other bodies lobbying to get food into this, it wouldn't be in there otherwise. So
That's correct.
kudos to us and pat on the back for that work. But of course, observing that all of this is unfunded. So these are,
No, but it's moving at the speed of a glacier.
yeah,
And
I agree. I agree.
And I think, in a world where we're used to microwave minutes, we just have to be patient and help educate people till we get enough traction that we end up with agri-hoods or better support for local farmers. So there's an incentive for people to be local farmers, and that creates a resiliency and a sustainability, not just from a dirt mentality, but also from an economic mentality, so that, that rising tide floats all ships.
Right, right. Exactly right. And even though there's no funding associated with this, this is a platform which individuals, as well as municipalities, as well as neighborhood associations can stand on to make a case to government for funding. So even though there's nothing built into here for funding, this is the platform. So it begins with rhetoric at one level, but it also supplies us with a platform for political action, or at least appeals to government. So it is a start. You're right, Jeff.
Okay. Let's go on to item number 5. Waste no food. Plant for Pasco initiative status.
I will stop. I will stop sharing.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm going to talk a little bit about waste no food and where we are with that. Caitlin, did you want to talk a little bit first or no?
No.
You're good.
Anna's
Okay.
here, she can speak to it if you'd like.
Yes, I know, I'm excited by this. So one, I wanted to present Anna. I'm not sure if she wanted to say a quick hello to everyone. We've said her name before, Anna Chavez, who is our representative for Waste No Food, part of Tampa Bay Network to End Hunger. Anna, you can say a quick hello if you'd like.
Hello, my name is Anna. I'm the project coordinator for creating a regenerative community food system with the Waste No Food app, and I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you, Anna. I want to give you a brief update on what we've done so far with Waste No Food. It took us a little bit for us to try to understand what Plant for Pasco is, and then part of Plant for Pasco is the Waste No Food app that we're trying to promote in coordination with Tampa Bay Network to End Hunger. And so we've gotten to the point where we finally had our resolution go before the board on March 8th. And no, not March 8th, June. In June, where am I? In May. Is that May, Mary Helen? June 8th. We had it on June 8th.
Yes.
June 8th. It went in, everything is done. So we are
Yesterday.
officially partners, and the board has acknowledged this. So that is amazing. We had a press release go out. We didn't feel like it was like the big bang for buck press release that we wanted. And so we are redoing it where we're going to send it to all, everyone in the county that has access to our press release that has signed up for it. And we're going to try to get it on different mediums that the county uses in order to present information that's going out. What we've also done to do this is we've started a web page that is part of the FPAC's website. It is not live yet. So what I'm showing you is something that is not live yet. What I need from you today is, it should be in your packet where you can read the introduction that's being used for our web page. And I'd just like for everybody to kind of look at it to make sure that it makes sense. I don't know where it is within this, but I will share our page right now. So our communications team has been helping us to put this together. Not sure how big I can make this. This is the Plant for Pasco. And I will go down to Waste No Food. How can I navigate this button thing? Hold on. You gonna help me? Thank you. Control. Excellent. Thank you. All right, so this is our Waste No Food page. So anything that we start sharing, it would lead to our Waste No Food page. And then from there, it goes to Tampa Bay Network to End Hunger's page. So that way, community members will be able to see how FPAC is working to push and promote it, but then leads straight to their website so they can sign up and become donors or recipients of all the food or the compost that comes through Waste No Food. Part of this initiative, so once we have our website set up and you guys say, yay, you like the intro and all, we have a social media campaign that we are working on, and you'll notice it in your agenda packet. You'll see this one is a draft. There's a final draft that's coming out in the next day or so, where we have linked what Tampa Bay has been working on already. We've created some other material to add on to it as well. in order to help promote this in different scales. What we'll be asking you all is when we push it out, because we're going to do this within a 3-week rollout. When we do this, each time we send it out during the 3 weeks, if you could reshare it with your friends and family and anybody else that you feel should have this information. And if you have other organizations that you feel that has a bigger following, because we need organizations to have big followings, you can have them share it as well, or you can give us that information so that we communicate with them so they can share it during these 3 weeks of our Waste No Food push that we'll be doing.
So we do have a stakeholder list of local, regional, statewide, and national food policy type of networks, and I think you can push it to them as well.
That would be amazing. And lastly, and Anna, I'm going to have you talk on this one.
Think so?
We're asking everybody if you guys can help us, everyone here, you can, I'm asking for everyone to have 2 potential donors to help. When this was written up, this agenda memo, we only had 4 participants. Now there are 24 participants, right, Anna?
Yes, that is correct.
So we have 24 participants, which is great, but we need more donors. So we're asking every member here, if you can please identify 2 groups that you feel could be great donors to participate in Waste No Food in order for us to get this pushing and moving. That would be amazing.
That's places that have food waste, not waste, but that's places that have food.
Extra food
So like
or waste
nuts,
that they have.
groceries.
Farms, community gardens.
And
There a particular geography that you would like the donors to come from or prefer them to?
That's a
So-
question for you, Anna.
Yes. So for programming purposes, we are in need of donors in the food service industry. So that includes restaurants, groceries, local markets, community farms. The community farms are able to be donors because they can donate any leftover food or leftover food, and at the same time they can receive any of those food scraps. So they're able to sign up as both, but at the moment we are in need of donors in the food service industry. So any restaurants, bakeries, and to answer your question, that would be all of Pasco, anywhere in Pasco, west, central, east. We're in need of donors.
And what is the guidelines on the food being donated?
So any leftover food that they have would go to the charities, and any food scraps would go to the local composters who are also signed up.
And are you accepting expired dated food?
No, not for the redistribution.
Okay.
They are protected from liability through the Good Samaritan Act. But no, not expired food.
Okay.
But wouldn't the expired food wouldn't that go into the composting process?
Right. So the expired food can go for compost, but not for
Yeah.
redistribution.
Right.
Okay.
And so just so I'm clear about it, 2 things. One is it works only through this app. Is that the only way that you can be engaged in this process? Is the app?
I've noticed that Anna has some organizations that have difficulties when it comes to the technology for the app. So they are, so we are willing to work on individual basis, is what I
Right.
understood, right, Anna?
Yes, that's correct. We will be providing them any guidance, any support on how to use the app, which is very, very simple to use. If they prefer connecting with me, and I will be happy to connect them with donors that do have leftover foods or food scraps for composting, we're flexible with that as well.
Okay, and the other question I have real quick is, there's 2 kind of streams, just so I understand this clearly, there's 2 streams that you guys are developing. One is an actual food stream, food that can be distributed to people to eat, and the other is a composting stream. That's food that's out of date or just residual scraps of food. So there'd be 2 pickups then involved in that, and you guys are coordinating that.
Right, that's correct. The leftover
Okay.
food go to charities for them to redistribute, and food scraps go to local farmers, or anyone who is practicing
Mhm.
composting that is
And so then the communication with you would be to clarify that the organization, the group, the farm, would need a pickup for viable food or compost.
right. Once we're using the app, the donors post the food or the food scraps, the recipients claim it, and they coordinate communication, pickup time, and all of that once the app is up and going.
Okay.
When is that expected? Or
Um,
hopeful?
June
Right.
15th,
When?
Suda Sarma, sorry, Anna, to cut you off. She just WhatsApped me. But we're going to be launching the beta new version June 15th. So all of the little bugs should be resolved and we're going to have local administrative
And how
better
do you sign
control.
up as a donor?
You go onto our website, which is right there in the website that I'm sharing, and you
Okay.
sign up as a donor or as a recipient, and we create the account for you and send you your username and password for you to log on to the app.
Okay.
And just to provide additional clarifying information, we partner with Hillsborough Community College to do all of the vetting. So the safety net is they have to sign up through us. So before they're allowed to be a user on the app, if they're a nonprofit, they have to go through
Yep.
Food Safety Training 101 so that we know that they're properly prepared to do that and transport the food and redistribute it to people safely.
Okay.
And within the app, the donor indicates if it's food scrap, which goes to a specific set of recipients versus edible
Okay.
food to be redistributed.
By chance, could you email me a link? I have a grocery store.
I'm so sorry that it cut off for a second. What was that?
Could you email me a link?
Yes, absolutely.
He's got a grocery store.
Awesome. Could you provide me with your email or?
Yes,
What
Jeff.
we can do is we will send it out, the
Uh.
link to everyone on our food pack list, so everyone
Okay.
gets this, okay?
Sure.
Perfect. Awesome.
The link to this website.
I have a question. Is this website in conjunction with the app? Like if someone didn't want to use their smartphone for whatever reason, can they just sign up and make an account on the website, or it has to be on the app?
No, so they do the application through our website and we create the account for them. So once we send them their username and password, they just log in and they're able to access the app and donors and what is available for them. Does
So
that
it
make
could be
sense?
either or.
It could
It
be
doesn't have
either
to
or,
be-
right? It could be either or, but we prefer them to sign up through our website so we have accountability of who is signing up as a donor and as a recipient.
Mhm.
I think the question, Anna, was, do they have to use the Waste No Food app in general? Is that correct? You want to know if they can just go through the website for Tampa Bay Network?
Right, so if they're just different platforms, but you get the same result, you know, like most apps today, you can just go on the website if you didn't have the app on your phone, let's say. Is it similar where you can just get your account, become a recipient, become a donor, whatever it is, do you have to use the app? Or
The
can
app
you-
is really the tool. So on the 15th, there was a little disconnect between the Waste No Food website sign up and the Waste No Food app sign up. So we put our landing page as just a local control so that we could be better aware of who is attempting to sign up. But as of June 15th, it should work either way. You can sign up through the Waste No Food website, which we just don't encourage because we want to be able to help people in the beginning and provide that technical assistance. But if they don't need it, that's fine. The app is really just, you know, people just like the function and the ease when they're in the field or when they're in the kitchen, they can just, you know, bam, post 5 gallons of soup, choose the geographical parameter for which that alert will post to. So the donor can post, 5 miles away. So all of the users that we registered within that 5 mile perimeter would get the alert. And then when they claim it, it comes out of queue. So the app is just the tool that we're encouraging because it's the most functional. But the connectivity will be more streamlined after the 15th because there were some glitches with the app itself and the technology connecting. And it just has to go with because it's based on geography, the geocoding with the app didn't really sync with the function of the app. So it was just, not to get in the minutia, but absolutely, we can walk you guys through maybe after June 15th, and do a one-on-one to really explain the process. But June 15th, we will have complete local control with this beta version.
Can I ask a question about the eligibility for the charities? So is it specifically like food pantries and stuff, or can, a little local school, or is it anybody?
Anybody, as long as they're a
Actually-
501c3, so the Good Samaritan Act protects all nonprofits, right, on those non-monetary transactions. So we vet them before we allow them to begin to receive notifications
So
via
any
the app or connect
501c3,
them.
that's
I'm
the-
sorry?
So 501c3 is the eligibility requirement.
Correct, because that's according to the law, right? Yep, so that's absolutely the eligibility. Now, for the composting tier, so there are 2 tiers, essentially 2 programs within the Waste No Food app. The composting tier can go to an individual because it's not meant for consumption, right? We provide them a bucket for the, expired leftovers, kitchen scraps, whatever it is, watermelon rinds, to go into the bucket. So that's a little different. That can be, as of right now, there's no law saying that we can't provide that service to the individual for the compost. But that's specific to the food scrap tier within the app. Individuals are not allowed to receive edible food donations from restaurants.
Gotcha.
And I can kind of speak to if there's a nonprofit or someone that needs, that we might want to connect to that does, or a donor that doesn't want to use the app or isn't able to, they don't have the technology. Anna has been great about, we can that person can contact her and say, hey, I have extra collard greens, for instance, and do you have a participant who might be willing to accept that? Now, the hope is that recipient is able to come and pick it up, but if not, sometimes a volunteer, like sometimes I have acted as a volunteer in between because we know that not everybody's going to be comfortable using this technology. So
And technology is just a tool.
Yeah.
It's not the initiative.
Right.
It's just because people say, oh, cool, an app. Let's see what this does. But it's really about the relationships. It's really just about connecting the donors to the recipient. So I appreciate Dell's point, everybody's comments relating to that, because it's really not about the app and using the app. The end goal, no matter how we use it, is just to connect these folks. And there's been a lot of work, right? Decades connecting suppliers, leftover food to food banks and different things, but we're really targeting restaurants that have a smaller amount of food that really doesn't make sense for the food banks to utilize a 5-gallon bucket of soup, right? But it might make a lot of sense for that food pantry on the corner of Main and 6th that are feeding 50 homeless that Friday. So, and we looked at the waste, well, anyway, I don't want to go off on too much tangents, but we looked at the county waste management reports to see what the number 1 supplier of food waste was as far as like sectors, and it was restaurants and consumers, right? So that's why we use the app to just try and specifically target that. But donors can be farmers. We've had farmers sign up as donors, as well as food banks, as well as, to just do intra-agency donations. So when a food bank loses a refrigerator during a hurricane, we've worked with emergency management to allow for that food bank to post really quickly to 100 end users on the Waste No Food app, nonprofit saying, hey, I got 10,000 turkeys, I've got to get rid of, they're thawing. So then people can so it's just really a tool is my point. It's just a mode of communication. So.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And to finalize, well, not finalize, for you to help promote this with your friends and networks, we have a page, the next page after this agenda memo, you'll find a copy of what Anna uses to gain donors. You can use that letter to share with your network as well. And finally, I wanted to say thank you to all our members here. We had especially Patty, who's been helping us promote this with her nonprofit networks, as well as creating partnerships. the extension, Sherry has been, is working with Anna right now to put together some of the workshops that they'll be using with this program. And as well as we have our Parks and Recreation Department who's going to help us with hosting the buckets at the different parks on the different areas throughout the county. And thank you in advance, Jeff, for donating and being a donor for our program. And Fashion, we're waiting on you to join the wagon and bring your friends, and that would be great. So thank you, everybody.
And just to clarify with the board, when Caitlin mentioned the food safety, I was in arrangements with Anna about doing the food safety certifications so that when churches and nonprofits pick up the food, they know how to safely transport and distribute that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I want to echo great job by Sunit as well in helping to be our lead with the Tampa Bay Network to End Hunger and UFIFAS to help promote this whole program so that we can broaden its horizons in Pasco.
Absolutely. A big shout out to UFIFAS.
Awesome. That's great teamwork and collaboration. Thank you, everybody. Let's move on to number 6, Farmers Market Survey. I don't believe we really have much to talk about there, but we'll just talk about what is or isn't happening.
Mr. Chair, I am very disappointed to report that the Farmers Market electronic survey was put out, but there were no respondees. So we had a list of approximately, let's see, can you let me share?
Sorry.
We had a list of approximately 20 different farmers markets that we had identified in the county. And actually it got sent out twice to that list and there were still no respondees. So we're going to have to look to do either doing a mail survey or actually a face-to-face. So I'm thinking that our department's getting a new resiliency grant. And I'll have some interns hopefully by August. I may be able to send some interns out on Saturdays or Sundays when these markets are taking place so that they can actually just do face-to-face interviews. I think that's going to be the most productive way to obtain the information, unless there are some volunteers. I can provide the survey form, and any of you, as you go out to farmers markets, if you can find the lead organizer for that particular farmers market, each of you could also be actively interviewing and conducting the survey.
Can we do you have that information of the lead? Because I know that is quite a
Yeah,
feat
we can
to
send
find
that
out.
back out again.
I'll take a couple. I mean, if you want to send it
Yeah.
out.
I
we
could
all
take a
just
couple and I could just
3 or
call them
4.
over the phone. I found that was really helpful in St. Pete, getting in touch with the farmers markets, calling them on the phone, sending an email.
I think Justin did try to call some of them, but he wasn't having much luck over the
Sure.
phone either. And his internship ended on April 30th. We saw him earlier today. He just got hired by our current planning division.
Oh,
So
good for
he's
him.
going to be working at least this semester as an intern, as a zoning intern. So we're happy about that. So,
Maybe you could just stick the word zoning into the survey title and then have him do it from over there.
well, no, I know, one thing I know that it's very hard to go out and do face-to-face surveys without having some kind of official credential. And what I could do is, for those of you who are interested in doing this, if you want us to print out a letter authorizing you to do it, I could probably provide something on official county letterhead to you to do that. Or you may feel, you may be well, I'm sure some of you know these people and it's not going to be an issue, so.
Mary Helen, so Newport Richie Market at the library didn't get back with you?
I was gonna ask that
Yeah.
myself. I was surprised that-
Yeah, so.
Andy is on our board even.
Jeff indicated that he doesn't recall getting it, and I'm pretty certain he was on the list as well.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if there was some kind of
Yeah, she
glitch.
must not have gotten it.
I think I do have the list. This list may be just a little bit dated, but this is the list that we sent it out to. So,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember this
Rights
list.
Nutrients is there, if that's the correct email address. It was at info@rightsnaturalmarket.com.
And then if we know of it, like,
Tasty Tuesday was sent to Assistant Director at nprlibrary.org. So that's who it was sent to.
I'll follow up on that, make sure that.
We probably need to change the name of the market for sure. So should be Wright's Natural Market, not Wright's Nutrients. The address is correct.
That was Assistant Director at.
NPR.
Also, Mary Helen, I've mentioned this a couple of times before that.
.org or,
Oh, I'm sorry.
1 minute, Jeff, your email address that it should go.
Go ahead and send it straight to mine. So just make it jeff@wrightsnaturalmarket.com.
We do have 2 different email addresses in the system for you, and one of them is bad, I know. So, okay, we'll make certain that this is the one that it is sent to. Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple I know to add to that list.
Tasty
too, that aren't there.
Tuesdays directly to Andy's email or to mine, maybe to both. We'll make sure at this time it gets done. I'm not sure about that Assistant Director email. That's still a good email.
Well, I think if it went right to Andy, Andy would get it. If he sent it to,
Went to the Assistant Director, it just doesn't sound right. but-
Right, and that email address probably came off, if the library system has a Tasty Tuesdays webpage, that may be the email address that was on that webpage,
Maybe it was.
and who knows who that actually goes to
Right.
within the library system.
Right.
Right.
Well, we'll mention it this time.
Right.
yeah, if it went directly to Andy, Andy would get it, I'm sure, and be able to take action. And Mary Helen, I just wanted to note again, and I mentioned this before, that MOM's Fresh Friday Market and the Kinship Urban Farm, they're defunct. They're not in operation any longer.
MOM,
MOM's Fresh Friday Night Market. And the Kinship Urban Farm Market. They can just be removed from this. They're not in operation.
right. It doesn't matter when we create these lists, they automatically,
Change.
are out of date.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
So, thank you for that information,
If
Bill.
we have additional, because I know a few that should be on here, just email that, who's the list compiler right now? Would that be you or?
I guess it's gonna be me since we don't have an intern, so,
So are you gonna send this out to us to try to,
yeah,
if you can?
I'll send the list out, and if y'all wanna make any additions before we make an attempt to send it out again. So I think what we'll end up doing is we'll make an attempt to send it out electronically again, but in addition, we will do a paper version with a stamped envelope for them to mail it back to us. And if that still doesn't work, when we have interns in August, maybe we'll get the interns. Well, I'll also provide the option of those of you who are interested I'll email it to everyone, but it'll be up to each of you who are interested to pick that up, print out a couple of the forms and take them out to the farmer's market to do the face-to-faces. And then the interns can try to fill in any holes that we have post that.
Okay.
We're getting an intern, Mary Helen, just to let you know. Anna, correct me if I'm misspeaking, for the Waste No Food project.
Yes, that's correct. We're in the process of recruiting them for Pasco.
So we might have, a few hours that they can help update this list as well. It looks like it was last updated, several months ago. So as you said, it's an ever-changing environment.
Right.
But that might be something to help the intern just introduce her to, the farmers markets and what it is that we do. Anna, if you
The
think
farmers markets are a source of,
Sure.
of
donors,
food waste.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And recoverable food as well. So maybe Anna, we could talk about that.
Yes, absolutely.
And Mary Helen or Sinai.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Let's go on to number 7. Lon Italy Food Compact Best Management Practices.
All right. I wanted to bring up, we've been working on trying to develop a strategic plan. And we tried to do that poll to ascertain priorities, but only 4 or 5 of you actually responded to that poll. And we tried it a couple of times. So I kind of think I'm recommending that we kind of regroup on this, since the poll was just, apparently there's just, not interest in participating in that polling to develop the priorities. One of the tasks that I had assigned to Justin Alexander when he was the resiliency intern was to take a look at Milan, Italy, and look at their food compact best management practices and see from their best management practices, what are things that the Food Policy Council might consider utilizing as best management practices here in Pasco County. So I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to go to another document. I'm going to share a different document, and I've got to pull it up first before I can share it. So just give me 1 minute. I think there were some really good practical things that they were doing in Milan that could be mirrored here in Pasco County. So let me share this. So in your packet, you do have like these little fact sheets on these best management practices. And we just want to present them to you today for information purposes to see, is this something that you would be interested in working on together as a group? Are these something that you think that this council should consider adopting? So sorry, my touch screen is a little bit sensitive, so let me get this to where it's just down to 1. It's not showing 3. But the first one is looking at institutional coordination and task management. And it's looking at clearly delegating tasks with our partnerships for cooperation and cohesion within the county. And, what government-led efforts related to food security in institutions should we be looking at? And so it identifies the school-based programs, our senior-based programs, homeless programs. There may be some programs programs that should be listed here that are not listed here that should be added, okay? One of the recommendations was for county staff to have at least one annual meeting among the branches, departments, and divisions that are appropriate to have discussions about food security within the county.
I really like
That's a pretty easy thing to do.
Mhm.
It's just organizing the meeting, inviting the right people.
I really like the idea of the food security task force at the county level. I think that's great. And to not make it so tedious, it's every month, but once a year just to convene.
Once a
I think
year,
that's
reach
great.
out to our community services department, our community development department. And, I would think the school district staff should also be invited to that meeting as
Oh, definitely.
well.
Mhm.
So key internal partners, but also consideration of external partners as well.
And I think law enforcement gets left out a lot in those types of convenings. They really see food insecurity in a lot of different ways on the ground as well. So just thinking out loud about that, but to include law enforcement.
So could this be, like a food security day for Pasco County? And you could invite, all of the FPAC could be there. We could invite the county commissioners, although that requires a whole different level of advertising and things like that. And have a workshop on food security matters of importance, have a food security forum in the county itself. Is that something that, we should be looking at doing at some point?
I think that's
We
a
have to be
great
careful
education.
because we have limited staff.
Right.
So,
I love that idea. I think the only question would be staff, time, energy, resources to do it, and then the willingness of all the branches of government to participate with enthusiasm and happiness to commit. And then also whether, if, and to what extent you want to invite non-governmental agencies and agents to participate, because it could get really big and unwieldy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this. I love this.
So, from a strategic plan perspective, we could tackle this. Should it be internal? Should it be external? Should it be a combination? We need to make those decisions. You would need to make those decisions. Is this a 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour session? I would say probably a 1 or 2 hour session.
It needs to be longer.
I was going to say 4 hour.
4 hours.
If it's only once
okay.
a year, and maybe
Hours
we could
once a year.
consider like a 6-month follow-up because
Okay.
a lot can happen in a year, but that's just a thought.
Different programs could be invited just to share information on status, like school district, the senior nutrition program, the Tampa Bay Network to End Hunger could talk about the food hunger map in Pasco County and where deficiencies are identified, and an update on the activities of the Food Policy Advisory Council. It's almost like taking your annual report and then having, for lack of a better term, a dog and pony show about that, but also bringing in other key agencies for them to do it as well.
And so maybe the beginning of the meeting could be information sharing, real quick, concise, kind of what the school district's doing, what, FPAC's doing, what senior county nutrition programs are doing, and then possibly an ask of everybody of how we could work more efficiently together. Is law enforcement lacking resources when they see a mother stealing bread to feed her children instead of arresting her? I'm just giving a total hypothetical, but the first part of the meeting to be information sharing, what each section's doing, where they say issues, successes, and then how can we potentially, and hearing the challenges within them. So the successes of each county run program, and then the challenges they're facing, and then we can identify a challenge that one of those sectors is experiencing and achieving whatever food security.
I think we're all in agreement. I'm going to kind of pull this together a little bit in the interest of time. I think we're all in agreement that this is probably a great idea and that it's part of what FPAC is here for, is to educate people in the county, both as a resident and people who work as support of the county in some way or fashion. But I'm thinking we need to plan probably our own work session to pick the date and plan how we do this and the logistics of it. So I'd like to just kind of stay on broad strokes instead of getting down into the minutia of it a little bit in the interest of time, because we still have a good bit of stuff to go through today and we've got less than 30 minutes.
Sure.
Real
Yes,
quick,
Del.
Jeff, if I could. I was going to say the same thing. I think the next step is to go ahead and put it on a program and put a plan together for it. And if I could, one minutia would be to make sure that we invite the municipalities to participate. At least one representative from each municipality in the county should be invited to participate in this. That's all.
Yep. Everybody's made very valid points.
Okay, the second major bullet point would be to adopt targets for food security for relevant programs. So I think that will require a significant amount of work.
Yes.
So I think right now we just think about it and let that mull over a bit. We don't have to go through all of these today because I think are there 10 or there 6? I think there's 6.
Well,
6.
Okay, the next one is framework for food security. Go down to that.
This is very good.
So the Tampa Bay Network to Winnetonka, we just finished the policy analysis of the municipal codes. So Courtney Safran she just graduated from Stetson and working on studying for the bar, but she just recently, and she's been working a little bit with Dell, or been in communication with him, I should say, on that policy analysis. So I would like to provide that report to you, Mary Helen. And if you think it's worthwhile to send out to FPAC, because it really is a very detailed, very comprehensive document. But it does outline the policies that are involved with hindering or helping food security, and then suggestions for what other municipalities around the country are doing to help. And what we're doing with the larger, and Arian was a little bit involved last fall with it. But what we are doing now is just really trying to identify with the municipality we're working with right now, St. Pete, on which policy kind of but anyway, so the point being, I can send that report to you, Mary Helen.
That sounds great. Which municipalities is she
All.
working with?
Oh, I'm sorry. Right now, the one that we're actively working with is St. Petersburg. So we did it for all 3 counties.
You did a crosswalk of the 3 counties?
Yes, over the last year and a half, yes.
Okay.
A municipal
I don't recall
codes.
anyone ever contacting me about that. I mean, to
Oh, no,
ask
she just,
questions or
oh, yeah,
anything.
no, she just went through that big, municipal code book and did a lot of research just behind a computer. It wasn't anecdotes or interviews or anything like that.
Only the code of ordinances, or did she also look at land development codes and the comprehensive plan?
Everything. She went through literally every single municipal code and determined if within her expertise, she felt like it was a good thing to include.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see
Okay,
the
awesome.
results of that study.
Great.
Sounds interesting.
And I know we had talked about it a little bit pre-COVID, and obviously that was suspended for a bit, but then she picked back up, and it's a great report. But I can send you the new Port Richey report, and then you could just let me know what you think.
So you don't have the Pasco County?
Oh, I'm sorry, the Pasco County. Yes, we do. Sorry,
Okay.
I was just thinking about the municipality. We have it for all the municipalities in Pasco. I can't remember how many there are, but.
So
I would request any of the municipalities, any of the local governments in Pasco County, because, Newport Richey may be doing something that we're not doing that maybe we should be doing. Okay. So it's good to look at the other reports to see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you might have recommendations for Courtney about how she should frame the report and the information and focus on one thing and not focus on another.
Right.
Or include something and, disclude another thing or something. But it's preliminary and we just did it. So I'm sure, Mary Helen, you're going to offer a lot of great insight on the report.
Okay, I just looked at a few more of the best practices items that are on here. And each one is extremely, I think, valid. A couple of them touch at my heartstrings, like food deserts and monitoring agricultural land measurements changes, whether it's growth or diminishing. But we've got 15 minutes left. So what I'm going to ask is that all members and alternates, please make sure you take this and read it. Make yourself some notes. We'll carve out a little more time in our next meeting on the agenda to dive a little deeper into this and see how and where we want to utilize this as part of our goals, because I think I agree, it works right up our alley. But I could see where we could spend the whole meeting just on this one thing and still not get all the way through it. So, and I don't want to do it an injustice by trying to just skim it. So I think the fact that we start with the first one by possibly planning a work session in the future to set that date and start working towards a Pasco Food Security Day, and inviting the public, inviting agencies or staff and team would be a great way for us to do that. So I'd like to stop you where you are, unfortunately. And
Fine, and I can send this out as an Adobe PDF or as a Word document where if you wanted to provide more detailed comments, you could turn on track changes and you could do that. Would y'all like me to do that?
Yes.
yes, please.
Could I ask one question, Jeff?
Yes.
I don't want to prolong this. Mary Helen, this is based on the Milan model, right?
Yes.
And who did this?
Justin
Okay.
drafted it, and then I made some substantial
Yeah.
edits and additions to it to
Yeah.
make it more framed more locally to Pasco.
The categories are the Milan categories, right? I think
I think
the 6
so.
categories, yeah.
I think that's what Justin put together.
Justin did this based on the Milan categories. I just want to clarify that. That's
Yep.
tremendous work,
Yeah.
first of all, and terrific to utilize the Milan model because that's the industry standard, the global standard for food policy. So
Right. Since
Excellent.
we didn't get the grant that we applied
I know.
for, I still wanted us to go through this exercise.
Yes.
So I assigned this task
Yes,
to him.
I know.
And we went through multiple versions to get it to where it was, I wanted one-page fact sheets. I wanted it to be very, very simple, at least with this first cut. And then we can develop
yeah, we will.
additional action items underneath each one of these as we move forward. So,
Yes, I agree. Great job
Okay.
on the report.
Do we have any public comment? Okay, no, moving on. I believe I'd like to jump to the next meeting, number 12. Because there's some concerns about being able to have enough people here and it being, I think, a holiday for some. And so we need to take a look at possibly moving that date. While we have a quorum, I really want to make sure we get that done today.
Right, June 9th is a holiday.
No, September 8th.
I'm sorry, September 9th. September 8th is a holiday. And we weren't aware of that, but it's been pointed out to us by
Yep.
some
Yep.
members.
Yep.
So do you want to move to the third Wednesday? It all depends on this room availability as well. So we're going to have to double check.
There's
on
no other
that
rooms in this building we could do it?
calendar. We can check that now.
What about the first? Move it 1 week prior.
We're looking at the month of September.
I'm sure I'm stupid, but what's September 8th?
What's the what?
What's September 8th?
Not sure.
I'm okay with either the 1 week earlier or the 1 week later.
I'm available.
What's
as
everybody
well.
else?
I'm available as well.
But
both
1 week
dates.
later is Yom Kippur.
Oh, okay.
So the week before would be great. The week, 2 weeks later is going to be part of the John Hopkins Kansas City Food Program.
The room is free in the morning on the 15th. There you go.
Okay.
In the morning on the 15th.
The morning of the 15th appears to be open, but we still have to validate this.
I think that's another holiday.
Oh, Hispanic Heritage Month?
Did you say, Del, that was Yom Kippur?
Yom Kippur begins at sundown on Wednesday, and the Rosh Hashanah process, which starts on the 6th, will still be ongoing, so.
So what about the first?
Now, this board room's taken the first.
Oh, we'll just kick them out. Is there another room in the building we can meet?
Not with this technology.
Also look at Dade City.
Yeah. We could look at Dade City, but
Or the 22nd?
I like that.
How about the Pasco Economic?
first available,
that
Patty,
one room we-
Out of Dade City? Not here.
at Dade City.
Mm-hmm. It's not giving me a connection to that one out there. Let me message my because we still need the WebEx capability.
Yeah, we still need the WebEx capabilities. What about the 22nd of September?
Well, the 22nd is going to be part of the John Hopkins Kansas City Food
Oh, that's
event.
true.
So if we do have anyone going to that, and if we do have anybody going to that, I would suggest that they be able to stay for the entire event in Kansas City.
We have to do a Wednesday.
I don't know that we have to do a Wednesday.
No, and we're not locked into a Wednesday, but that has been traditionally the day where we can get the most
Yeah,
people.
that's true. Mhm.
So
What about October 6th?
Labor Day? Oh, October 6th. October 6th. Oh, now we're talking.
National Pancake Day, I think.
Yeah.
Well, then forget it. I can't be here.
I'll be at IHOP.
You can just bring the pancakes.
It appears to be available, but
Newport Richie, no, wait. Oh, yeah, DC, sorry, Dade City is not available. We got Pasco Beautiful. Sorry. No, okay, so Newport Richie, no, we have, FEOC in here in the morning. Dade City, I would have to check.
National
what
Mad.
about October 13th?
I've got a huge event like right before then, so I might not be as available the last
Okay,
couple of weeks of October.
so the September 8th meeting, is that impacting just one alternate member? Or is it impacting more than one?
What about the
member?
last week of August? I'm just saying the last week of August, the last Wednesday of August, the Wednesday before September 1st.
That looks to be available, both of us.
Which
Would that
day?
work for?
August 25th.
You better for me.
Because it looks like there was a strategic workshop that was canceled by Joe Meyer.
Man,
August 25th, how does that work for you guys?
it won't work for me,
It won't?
just as a point of note, but the council isn't contingent on any one member, so if some of us can't make some of these days, we just may have to.
Well, that's why I was going back to the original date, if the religious.
Do we have any idea
holiday-
how many people it's impacting?
I'm only aware of one alternate member that it's impacting. And so it's up to the board to make this decision. We will find a date if we need to.
Well, it's worth a try to, if it's not super difficult to do, but if we're also losing a regular member versus an alternate member, I'd rather lose the alternate member, personally. Nothing personal, everybody's valuable, but, you know, at some point in time, I've got to make a decision. So if it's only affecting one person and everybody's really already got that in their schedules for vacation, workshops, and everything else that's going on in our lives and business and personal, I'm gonna tend to have to stay, that I think we need to stay with September 8th, the original date.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we spent a lot of time just now looking at the calendar and it seems like.
Yeah, so it's not an easy move. So,
Well, chair calls the meeting, so.
I'm gonna stick with the 8th. But I do think we needed to look at it and try to see.
Okay.
Do you think there's any need, there's not really any need to vote on that either? You're
I
just
don't
gonna
think
stick
so
with
at all.
it? Okay.
Chair
No.
calls the meeting.
Okay.
The privilege of the chair.
Thank you for entertaining me on that. It's 11:25. So the next item is informational only to John Hopkins Food Policy COVID Survey.
So beneath your packet, I included some information from the John Hopkins Center for a Livable Future. About a month or so ago, I spent about 30 minutes to an hour filling out the survey from the John Hopkins Center for a Livable Future about food policy and Pasco County. And a couple of days ago, they sent us an invitation to possibly send 2 members of our Food Policy Advisory Council to participate in a 2-year program, which has a time commitment of a 6-hour kickoff meeting, and then over the course of the 2 years, there's 22-hour sessions. So that's 40 hours plus, I think another 2-hour session, and then they're available for one-on-one, discussions as needed. So this is a peer learning opportunity. As part of the project, if the Pasco Food Policy Advisory Council was selected, we could send 2 members either virtually or in person to Kansas City to the Power of Food Forum. Each council selected, and they're only inviting 15 food policy councils from across the country, would receive a $1,600 stipend for their participation in the they're calling it the COP, which is the Community of Practice. The stipend, and this isn't clear to me yet, the participants would also be registered for the 2-day Power of Food Forum, along with hotel and travel for the kickoff meeting would be provided. So I don't know if that's part of that $1,600 stipend or if it's in addition to. So if we were selected, we would figure that out. But as part of the application process, I've included a draft response from the council itself. But for the 2 individual positions, they also would have to submit their applications, individual applications. We would put it all together in one packet, but they have to answer a series of questions as part of the application. So I've heard from one FPAC member so far who is interested, and that would be Patricia Jackson. I don't know if anyone else might be interested in being considered.
Mary Helen, I sent you one. You didn't get mine?
I haven't received anything down.
Okay, I sent, as soon as I saw that, I sent one to you. I can,
Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. So we have 2. Anybody else that was interested in putting their name in the pot? Anybody who's online want to put their name in the pot?
for the record then, if I could, in my email to Mary Helen, which you haven't seen yet, I actually said I thought Patty Jackson would be a very good choice for it, is what I said in my response. I also said that I thought I myself would be a very good choice for it as well. And if not me, and if not me, then my alternate, Will Schombacher. Will and I are both working on projects at the university that deal directly with what's in this Johns Hopkins program. So in terms of us getting in, I think getting the folks that are already working in this area that have some profile would enhance the possibility of us being granted an opportunity to participate in this national event.
While interested, I don't have the time. I don't have that time.
I think there is also an option if someone did not want to travel to Kansas City, they could do it virtually. And doing it virtually, depending on the COVID situation at the time, it might be possible, we could possibly reserve the conference room upstairs and multiple people could participate if anybody was doing it virtually, if they wanted to share that. However, the Johns Hopkins people may only want the 2 people. So I guess the 2 people would be vocal, the other people would not be vocal and would just be absorbing the information.
So hearing that we've only got 2 people interested, I think we have 2 people selected.
That was no duking it out for the.
That's great.
You scare me. I wouldn't want to duke it out with you.
So I'll resend the email to the 2 of you to request you to fill out the individual portions. I would ask, I think it's very important that we get this in as soon as possible.
Yes.
Also, if you have suggestions on the draft responses for our Food Policy Council, I'm more than welcome to receive feedback on that. We can make some tweaks and edits to this, and then we'll send it in. Would y'all think you could get something back to me by Monday morning, and then maybe we could try to send something out?
It's the 9 items, right, in red? It's the 9 categories in red at the end of your document? Yes, I saw that, and I said, another reason I put myself forward was I was fairly certain I could put that together relatively quickly and tie it in with the points that you've already made in your document. So, yeah.
Okay, good.
Good, great.
All right, so that leaves us 2 items we didn't get through today. It's after 11:30. So we can add those to the next meeting. We're gonna make sure we do a deeper dive on the Milan presentation and work that a little bit.
The other items were just for information only.
Okay, and then do we want to talk about a work session now for planning that first item on the Milan? The annual Pasco Food Security Day?
I like when Mary Helen sends out the surveys of the days people are available. I think that's been helpful.
So you'd like to see a doodle poll on that?
Yeah,
Guys, 'cause nobody gets
let's talk on that before we send it out.
What
please.
time of year would be the best time to do something like this? Are there some national or state holidays or days that I'm not aware of that, is there a food security week?
Probably, right?
Or,
A lot of conferences happen in late fall. I would just suggest possibly, and I know summer vacation may interrupt this suggestion, but, late summer before the fall, because, as far as the charities, all of our stuff kind of kicks off and school goes back into session. So
Yeah.
late summer is usually when we do these.
Well, if it's inside, that's no problem.
so you're talking about next summer or?
Oh, well,
Oh, to have a workshop to
We're already at
discuss.
June.
Yeah.
no, I'm talking about having a discussion,
Yeah,
a
just
work
a
session
work, yeah,
to plan it
Yeah.
and schedule it.
in August for next summer.
Okay.
And by the way, to answer your question, October is Food Security Month. World Food Day is in October.
Yep,
World Food Day is the 16th of October.
It is.
yep.
And
We've got our conference last week of October.
we've got
Quiz.
National Bosses Day too, for that matter.
It's the 16th of October.
World Food Day is October 16th. USF is going to have the annual University of South Florida Urban Food Sovereignty Summit on the 14th, the 15th, and the 16th of October, this coming October. Just as
So
a
we'll need
note.
to take that into
Yeah.
consideration when we plan our day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll look to try to plan a workshop sometime in August.
Yeah.
That would be great for me,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
personally.
August in 6 weeks. And, okay.
All right. So you had your hand up?
Well, it was really for Sherry, to make sure she says.
Well, yeah, Mary Helen sent Sunita and I a grant opportunity about 2 weeks ago, and we wanted to see what role that this board could possibly play, but given the time, that might need to just turn into an email that I can send out to everyone.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't know.
No, that's fine.
Is that one that would come through IFAS? Would you be the?
Well, we were also in talks with the TBNEH about it. It has to do with compost and food waste reduction. So there's a lot that app could play, and as far as what IFAS can do and other organizations.
All right. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you very much, everybody. Nice meeting, very productive. Have a great day.
Thank you, you as well.
So did you see that email I sent you about the cottage?
Well, that's,
So it hasn't been signed yet. Oh, it has, and it's sit there. It's dead, like this. So
I Googled it and nothing came up, and that is why. So it's not official.
yeah, it's passed. It passed the Senate, it passed the House, it has not been signed by the governor yet. Now it passed. It's gonna be passed.
I got you. I got you.
One house is still.
Okay, because you actually kind of
The
looked like.
legislature, so they wouldn't have passed it. if it wasn't.
Okay, just curious. Knew anybody else? Okay.
Okay, so I'm assuming it's gonna be passed, but what he's been doing is like dog and pony show for the last month and a half, showing up signing each of the bills in a different place, so. But it increases it to $250